On this edition of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast, soaking in the hometown experience, Ty Penner is putting on a show at the plate for the Lethbridge Bulls. Welcome to episode 143 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. What a logjam we have in the Western Canadian Baseball League standings heading into the final couple of weeks of the regular season. As we record this episode, Dogs Black sits atop the leaderboard, just 2.5 games ahead of both the Sylvan Lake Gulls and Lethbridge Bulls. The Edmonton Prospects are 4 games back, and Dogs Red is 6 behind. It's anyone's game heading into the playoffs, which makes it exciting for both the fans and the players who have either been a part of the league for a while or grew up watching it. So is the case for Ty Penner. The Lethbridge product is among the many who are relishing in the opportunity to be a part of the All-Canadian Showcase this summer. The Vauxhall Academy grad and UBC Thunderbird infielder is hitting .350 this season with a home run and 13 RBIs in 19 games. He's also among the league leaders in doubles with 9, so all in all, a solid improvement from his first tour with the Bulls in 2019. There, he hit .242 with 9 doubles, a home run, and 13 RBIs in 27 games. Earlier this week, we chatted with the 6'2", 215-pound freshman about all of his experiences in baseball and where he'd like to go from here. Ty, thanks so much for joining us here on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
You're a Lethbridge guy getting to play for the hometown Bulls. What's it been like playing for the team and in the stadium that you grew up watching in?
Yeah, that's a cool experience. I had the experience once back in 2019 too, but maybe didn't get to play as much as I would have liked to that season. And so it's been really nice to be able to come back and play in front of my hometown fans. Growing up in Lethbridge, I kind of idolized the Bulls growing up and everything. So to be on the other side of that and have kids come up to me asking for my autograph and stuff, and knowing most of the fans in the stands growing up in Lethbridge is a really cool experience, and I'm loving it so far.
It's your second season, as you mentioned, with the Bulls. You're already kind of in tune with what the WCBL is all about. How much of your time has been spent showing the younger guys the ropes a little bit and being more of a team leader, so to speak, in the room?
Yeah, I feel like kind of embraced that role this year. That's something that I really like to do. I would prefer to be a leader on a team. And so that's been something that I've really looked forward to this year, especially with the Canadian League. We got a lot of maybe newer guys that haven't been in the league before. So that's been tons of fun. And to be honest with you, like, I know most of the guys on the team too. We got a lot of good Lethbridge products, and with the being Canadian, like, we all know each other from across the country. So that's been really, really fun. And I think we've had a lot of guys take on a pretty cool leadership role, and I've tried to do that too. And it's been really nice to take some guys under the wing and, help them succeed in the league. So that's been a really fun time.
How fun has it been to see fans in the stands again?
Oh, it's surreal. We were talking before, I haven't played a game in a year and a half, probably coming into the season this year with COVID and everything, because I play out at UBC. So it's been unbelievable having fans in the stands. Came back, didn't even hardly believe it. It was just felt so weird given everything that's happened in the last year. And, especially for it to be the hometown crowd, it feels amazing. And on Canada Day, we had a sold out stadium, which was just seems so crazy given that you haven't even really been able to see anybody face to face for the past year and a half. So it's been really nice, and it's made me a lot more grateful, for the fans.
Coming into the season, did you have any expectations of yourself? I mean, it's been a while since you've been able to play in a game situation. So were you worried that there would be any rust, and did you kind of give yourself a little bit of a pass in some regards?
Yeah, I guess you're a little bit nervous coming in thinking that, I haven't played in a while. What is it going to be like to see live pitching again and all that? But, we trained hard out at UBC, and we were able to do some live at-bats against some really, really good arms out there. We have a great pitching staff at UBC. So, you trust it, and you know that you'll get back into it. It's like riding a bike eventually. A couple games, and you get a couple games under your belt, and you're pretty well ready to go. So that was good, and it wasn't too drastic of a curve. Definitely a little bit weird at the beginning, seeing pitches for the first time, but got it all figured out now, so it's been good.
Speaking of those arms at UBC, I got to ask, what was your text message or phone call like with Garrett Hawkins when you found out that he got drafted?
Yeah, that was awesome. I've known G-Hawk for probably 6 years now. I lived with him my first 2 years out of UBC. So when I saw his name called, that was amazing. I was so pumped for him. I immediately texted him. I said, obviously, just congratulations, man. Like, you deserve it. And he was ecstatic, to be honest with you. So I'm sure his phone was blowing up. So I appreciated the reply from him and everything. And, I'm just really happy for him. And I hope he can move through the ranks in the Padres system. And maybe one day we'll see him in the big leagues.
Put on your scout cap for a second for us when it comes to Garrett. And what is it that he brings to the table in your eyes and makes him stand out, makes him someone that we should keep an eye on when it comes to maybe making the way up the pro ranks?
G-Hawk, for me, has always been a big game starter. I don't know if I've ever seen G-Hawk come out in a game and have it feel like he's not ready to go. He just commands the zone so well with his fastball. That's the first thing. Is it seems like he can put the fastball wherever he needs. And so that's the biggest thing with him. And, his off speed has really come a long way too. And hopefully he continues to polish that up, and he's going to be a real threat. He's been throwing really hard in the draft league and everything. And so his fastball, he's always dialed in. He just has a knack for the big game. And so it'll be really exciting to see where he goes.
Speaking of being on fire, you've been on fire with the Bulls this season. Let's get back to you here. And you're having that great season so far. What's been key for your success?
I'm just going out and trying to test myself. Like I said, we worked a lot in the off season with swings. That was kind of a unique opportunity that we had out at UBC. Not being able to play games, we have some cool technology, and we were able to, really dive into the nitty gritty of our swing and try to keep my barrel in the zone as long as possible. And so I've just wanted to trust that, to be honest with you, and trust the timing. Mm-hmm. And past that point, it's just hitting, going up there, kind of see ball, hit ball, and trust your approach. And past that, that's all you can do. Trust your approach and try to hit the ball hard, and hopefully some falls. So that's what I've been trying to do this summer, and it's been working out so far.
You look at those standings in the WCBL, they are airtight as we speak. How much fun is it to be a part of, knowing that each game means so much in the grand scheme of a playoff spot, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because like I said before, I know most of the guys in the league, and we actually have a lot of UBC guys on each team in the league. So it's a cool little rivalry that we got going on. You get some trash talk with the other teams and everything, especially when the standings are so jam-packed. Every game means something. So it's been a ton of fun to play meaningful games. I mean, that's what everybody wants as a baseball player. You want to be able to play meaningful games. Hopefully down the stretch we can get on a bit of a run here and secure a higher seed in the playoffs. And then once playoffs hit, that'll be a ton of fun too. Short series this year with the best of three. So, anything can happen, and that'll be a lot of fun.
You kind of alluded to it as well when it comes to that all-Canadian content. And what's it meant to you to be able to be a part of this, to be able to showcase the Western Canadian game, maybe bring in a few Easterners as well, but just to be able to showcase what Canada has to offer in the game?
Yeah, I think that's actually been another really cool opportunity that COVID has kind of brought us. So no Americans in the league has really allowed Canadian talent to push through, maybe some guys that wouldn't get that opportunity in a normal year. And so that's been awesome, because I really believe that Canada has a lot of really good talent to offer, especially with those academies in Southern Alberta specifically, like Vauxhall and Okotoks, and that produces a lot of good talent. And so to have guys from those schools come back and be able to play in this league maybe a year or two earlier than they normally would, and then have guys from maybe like even the Prairie Baseball Academy in Lethbridge has a lot of really good players that sometimes don't get the looks they deserve. So it's been definitely good. Allow Canadian talent to get the looks that I think they really deserve. And, it's been a talent-filled pool in the league this year, so it's been a lot of fun.
And as mentioned, you're a Lethbridge guy. Probably pretty easy to get tied up in hockey or football earlier on in your sporting career, yet you ended up in baseball. Tell us a little bit about how you found the game and what drew you to it.
Yeah, so growing up, I was actually kind of a dual sport in hockey and baseball, and I loved both, to be honest with you. And I always loved baseball maybe a little bit more, and I was maybe a little bit better at baseball, but I was never really sure what I wanted to do between hockey and baseball. And then when I was 14, I actually broke my leg playing baseball, and that kind of took away my next season of hockey. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of took that as an opportunity to try and focus on the next baseball season. Took the winter off to rehab and everything. And then when I came out of that baseball season, that's when I applied to Vauxhall. And once I got the call from Coach Mack that I was going to be able to attend Vauxhall, that was a pretty surreal moment for me, and that was a dream come true too. So that was something that I definitely couldn't pass up, and that's really when it started to focus straight on baseball. That's when I kind of forgot about hockey and all the other sports, and Vauxhall played a huge part in my career. So that's when it really started to be baseball for me.
That's quite the eureka moment. So many guys just kind of go, okay, I've aged out of a sport and here I am. Here you are kind of getting forced your hand. Did you ever have any regrets about that change or any kind of second thoughts about making that decision as you were trying to, especially when you're laid up with a broken leg? Do you have a lot of time to yourself to kind of ponder about the possibilities?
Yeah, I mean, that winter was a long one for sure, especially because I had a lot of really good friends in hockey, and so that was maybe the hardest part. That was the thing I missed the most about hockey, was the dressing room and everything and all the guys that I played with growing up. But I really have no regrets about it whatsoever. Like I said, it kind of allowed me to maybe even get into Vauxhall, and so that was amazing. And so I really have no regrets, and I'm glad it was baseball. I always think I really wanted it to be baseball. I just wasn't sure maybe if I could make it be baseball. So once I was able to make that decision and kind of have my hand forced, it was actually maybe nice for me to have that. So
what did that experience at Vauxhall mean to you now that you have the benefit of 2020 hindsight?
Oh man, yeah. Vauxhall was just huge. I can't even put it into words. The coaching staff out there is excellent, and the way that they prepare guys for the next level is unbelievable. So I really have a lot to owe to Vauxhall. Coach Mack and, Coach Kokis and Coach Blake. I owe a ton of my baseball career to them. They really helped me lay the foundation of, what my game is today. So I would ship Vauxhall to anybody and recommend it to anybody. I can't say enough good things about that program.
Any favorite memories from your time there?
There's a ton of favorite memories from the time there. When you live with 22 guys in a dorm room, you get up to some interesting stuff. But definitely winning Best of the West in my first year was a pretty cool one. I came into that tournament being kind of like a deer in the headlights against a bunch of really good Canadian talents, and ended up being able to play in the final and see G-Hawk throw in that game too, which was cool because me and him were pretty good buddies at the time. That's definitely one of the ones that are up there, but there's so many I couldn't even begin.
From there, you end up at UBC, as mentioned. How did that opportunity all come about in the first place?
So UBC was always kind of on my radar, and I told Coach Mack that pretty early on in my career at Vauxhall. But I was never totally sure if it was going to happen. I knew we had sent some guys out there before, but we hadn't sent some guys in quite a long time. And when it really kind of came to fruition was at Tournament 12 in Toronto. Coach Mack basically sent Chris Pritchett, the coach at UBC, a text and said, hey, this guy's going to be out there if you want to take a look or whatever. And after my first game, it was kind of weird because I think I went 0 for 0 with 5 walks. And so it was really weird, but Pritch came up to me and said, hey, I saw one of your swings. It must have been a swing and miss or a foul ball or something, and was interested. And so I played the rest of the tournament, and we actually came to an agreement by the end of that tournament, and I signed to play for UBC right then and there. So kind of how that came to fruition.
Pretty unreal, I imagine, when you look back on it. What's that experience meant to you thus far? Because you're only a couple of years in now.
Yeah, UBC, again, has been amazing. I can't say enough good things about that program either. Pritch has been one of the best hitting coaches I've ever had. Sammy Starr out there as an assistant coach has been amazing. The facilities at UBC are second to none. And so, I haven't had the full-scale opportunity that I've wanted so far. Like I said, I played my freshman year, but the freshman year I find, and I don't know, there's probably a lot of guys that agree with this, but in college is a bit of a blur. It just kind of goes by and you're trying to keep up and do your best. And I was lucky to be able to play a lot in my freshman year. We had a really big freshman class, but since then the sophomore year got cut off, and then obviously this junior year didn't happen at all. But so I'm going back next year as a sophomore again. So not complaining about the eligibility or anything, but it'll be really cool to see how it works this year, maybe from the other side as a leadership player as opposed to kind of a scared little freshman. So I'm excited for it.
You're in the Faculty of Science there, and I'm always reminded about it that it's a student athlete, not an athlete student. So how do you balance the needs of both during your time at UBC?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've always really kind of enjoyed school, and school's been really important to me. So I love it out there. I mean, it is a unique place in that regard too, especially at UBC, because the schooling can be difficult at times, but at the end of the day, it is a balance, and baseball ends up actually being a pretty good outlet, I find. If you sit in a dorm room all day studying or whatever, you can kind of go crazy and even become way less productive. So having baseball in there and training and all that to separate that, get the blood flowing and give you something else to focus on has been really good. And, you kind of treat both the same. You kind of are just determined to do well in both. And at the end of the day, I think they kind of complement each other nicely.
Mm-hmm. When you look back on your baseball career, you've mentioned Best of the West, you mentioned T12 as well, but any favorite memories or moments that make you go, wow, I can't believe I'm here?
Yeah, for me, that one was probably T12. I mean, I really didn't expect to make that team even. And then stepping into the box at Rogers Center, I was like, holy man, this is pretty crazy. And then, aside from that, actually the first conference tournament that I ever played at UBC, actually the regional tournament, sorry, we were playing against Southeastern, one of the best NAIA teams or one of the best teams in the NAIA. And we were facing some guy throwing like 95, 97 in the first game. And, it was just really surreal for me to face someone so talented and, be able to get a hit off of it. And now I'm watching him through the minors and everything. So the most surreal part for me is probably seeing guys that I've played against, and especially guys that I've played with, like G-Hawk and Damiano Palmagiani too, get their name called in the draft. That's been probably the coolest thing for me about my whole baseball career.
One of the questions I always ask, when you were at Vauxhall, you likely had alumni come through and offer pieces of advice. Now that you're that guy with the benefit of hindsight, what advice would you offer to those young kids who are just starting their baseball journeys?
Yeah, I would, especially if you're at Vauxhall, I would say to totally take advantage of everything that place offers. They have tons, not from the coaches, but they have great sports psychologists and Joshua Hoopmer, and they give you awesome nutritional advice. And, the biggest thing I can say is just to completely buy into what that program offers. And, cliche, but if you work your tail off of what they provide to you, it's, not a lot's going to go wrong. So love the game too is the biggest thing for me. If you're not having fun, then, it makes it a lot more difficult. And people always say, like it's a grind, but if you love the grind, then, it makes it a lot easier. So that's the biggest thing I would say is enjoy it, make sure it's something that you love doing, and then buy into the program for sure.
Fantastic stuff, Ty. Well, final question for you here. As I always ask, what does the game of baseball mean to you?
I knew that one was coming. So, yeah, baseball is really my whole life, to be honest with you. My life has been surrounded by baseball since I was probably 5 years old. And, it's responsible for giving me the best relationships in my entire life. Friendships, relationships with coaches, just everything baseball has given me an outlet, an opportunity to pursue something that I'm passionate about. But the biggest thing for me is that it's provided me with friendships and relationships that'll last a lifetime. And I'll never be able to repay the game for that, but I'm, eternally grateful for that. So that's the biggest thing. And hopefully it continues to be a part of my life for a long time.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations, Ty, on all the success to this point. Continued success going forward with the Bulls and beyond. And thanks so much for joining us here on the podcast.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
Thanks again to Ty Penner for joining us this week, and thanks to all of you for downloading and listening. Make sure to circle August 14th on your calendar as the WCBL is set to host Baseball Day in Canada at Siemens Stadium in Okotoks. It will feature a doubleheader between the Dogs and Edmonton Prospects, plus interviews and more about the game of baseball in our country. And there will also be a healthy dose of ADS involved, as both Ian Wilson and myself will be a part of the broadcast. So stay tuned for that again on August 14th. Until next time, thanks for all of your support, no matter the platform of Alberta Dugout Stories.